Good evening. This is Kathleen Wilnauer, Chair of the Northwest Consolidated Zoning Board. And we will start our meeting now, dated March 20th, 2023. It's about 6:32 in the evening. And our first order of business is to call roll.
Carol Kriska is absent. Mike Folks on Zoom.
Present.
Thank you. Jim Neese,
Present.
Brian Lewinberger. I'm sorry, Lewinberg. Added extra syllable there. Mark Crumbaker,
Here.
Kathleen Wilnauer,
Present.
and Melissa Morris on Zoom.
I will now read the zoning board hybrid statement. This meeting is now being recorded. Please silence all electronic devices. Please note this meeting is being held in the board hearing room with zoning board members attending in person. There is also an option for virtual attendance on Zoom webinar. If you are using Zoom, you may participate in the meeting using your computer, telephone, or other electronic device. For Zoom participants, chat will be disabled once the meeting begins. If you have trouble, please call 913-715-1700. If you would like to speak, please use the raise hand function in the Zoom app to notify planning staff of your desire to speak. To activate this function, click raise hand in the webinar controls at the bottom of the screen. By telephone, you may raise your hand by dialing *9. Please do not utilize the raise hand function until the start of the agenda item about which you desire to comment. We will take comments from in-person attendees first, followed by Zoom participants. The Zoom moderator will call on individuals who have raised their hand. The chairman may modify these procedures as needed to conduct an orderly and efficient meeting. All public speakers will be limited to 3 minutes unless the chair designates a different time period in order to accommodate all the speakers. When your name is called by the moderator, your microphone will be unmuted. Please state your name and address for the record, followed by your comments. If you share concerns, comments, or points made by others, please refrain from repeating those comments and instead note for the record that you agree with the previous individual's comments. There will be a 10 seconds remaining warning sound. To board members and presenters, please state your name every time you begin talking so that the comments can be transcribed for the record. This is a public meeting. We are presenting live and recording the meeting. Thank you. We will move on to agenda items. Are there any additions, deletions, or revisions to the agenda for this evening? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
Mark Crumbaker, I move we approve the agenda.
All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The agenda has been approved. Are there any disclosures of conflict of interest? Are there any disclosures of external contacts or discussions? And there are none. We will now move on to approval of the minutes dated February 20th, 2023, with corrections. And Sean, if you would let us know about those corrections, please.
Sure. Good evening, Sean Penley, planning staff. There were a couple of revisions to the minutes from the February 20th meeting in terms of attendance. At that meeting, the minutes indicated that Michelle Cricks and Sherry Cross were at the meeting. That is incorrect. Those two staff members were not there. However, I was at that meeting, Sean Penley, and Peg Trent from the county's legal department was also in attendance. So we will make that change to the minutes. In addition, we wanted to note that Mike Folks and James Neese were in attendance, but they were on Zoom. So we'll make that note as well. And then I believe it indicated a correction on page 11. That Chair Kathleen Wilnauer had noted that in her comments on page 11 that the public comments are from neighbors that live close by rather than aren't. So we'll make that correction to the word aren't to are. And I think that's it, unless there are any other revisions?
Hearing none, do we have a motion to approve the minutes as corrected? All those in, second, I'm sorry,
Second.
Mark.
I will second.
Mark
Mark
Crumbaker,
Crumbaker,
second.
second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The minutes have been approved as corrected. We will now move on to board reports. Sean, are there any reports of the Board of County Commissioners' actions this evening?
Excuse me, Sean Penley, planning staff, no updates for Board of County Commissioners actions. However, can give an update for planning commission actions if you would like.
Yes, please.
Sure. So we have a planning commission meeting tomorrow night in this room. And on the agenda for the planning commission meeting is, oh, excuse me, that'll be next week. I'm already jumping a week ahead, the March 28th meeting. For that meeting next week, we have a few updates. We will have the City of Overland Park attending to provide an update on the comprehensive plan update that they're working on. And that does affect some of the areas in the their growth area and in the unincorporated area, specifically in the southeast zoning board area of that part of the county. So we'll have an update from city staff at that meeting. In addition, we have an update, as you may recall, we have been talking about draft amendments to the regulations concerning accessory buildings. That item will be considered for a public hearing at the meeting next week. Staff has prepared draft amendments to the regulations to allow accessory buildings with a different type of permit rather than a conditional use permit. We're going to propose doing away with that requirement for accessory buildings. And there will be different draft regulations that will apply that will essentially allow larger size accessory buildings by right. So that item will be considered by the Planning Commission. And finally, we'll be giving updates on a couple of the other long-range planning updates we're working on for the Sunflower Army Ammunition Plant area. That conceptual plan that was adopted in 1998. Staff is recommending an update as a result of the annexations for the city of DeSoto and the surrounding area. So that we'll have an update on that. In addition, there will be a public information meeting tomorrow night too, just so everyone is aware. So we'll have public that's invited to attend that meeting tomorrow, March 21st, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. That meeting will be held at the Timber Ridge Adventure Center on Homestead Lane. The public is welcome to attend. We have an update on our website for if anyone's interested in that. And we also sent out a mailer, an informational notice to all properties in the study area.
Where's that located?
That is at the Timber Ridge Adventure Center on Homestead Lane. I'm sorry, I don't have the address, but I believe it's about 127th and Homestead in that area on the west side of Homestead Lane. And so we'll have an update on that at the Planning Commission meeting next week. And then finally, we'll have an update on the New Century Air Center and Executive Airport land use plans, compatibility plans. Happy to answer any questions and Planning Commission updates. All right, Mr. News, if you have any other updates.
Oh.
Thanks.
Excuse me, Chair. I wanted to note for the record that Melissa Morris joined via Zoom at about 6:35.
Thank you very much. Now we will move on to the business before the board. Peg Trent, our chief counsel, is not here this evening. So Sean is going to be giving us an update. The bylaws have been updated and he will let us know of the changes that have been made. Sean?
Thank you, Sean Penley, planning staff. I'd also mention Jay Leipzig, the director of planning, is also on Zoom, and I believe he may want to provide a brief intro, and then I can help
Okay.
kind of tag team with the updates on the revisions that planning staff worked with legal on. I don't know, Jay, if you want to provide any update.
Yeah, thank you, Sean. Thank you, Madam Chair. Jay Leipzig, the planning director. Can you all see me? Okay. It's strange doing this on Zoom because I can't see myself. However, yes, just to give you a quick overview of the agenda item this evening on the bylaws for the Northwest Consolidated Zoning Board. This is a template document that we've been using with all of our zoning boards. This is the, I guess, fourth time I believe we've gone through this with the zoning boards. So it is fairly well finalized at this point. There's just a couple of minor changes that are in this document that I'll go through in just a moment, as well as in your packet is the latest version of the Code of Ethics for the Johnson County government public officials. That document is dated February 16th of 2023, as well as a new acknowledgement of receipt of that code of ethics is also in your packet. And then the last item was a board commissions and committees application form that was also included in your packet of information. Just to go through very quickly on the changes to the bylaws, those changes are noted in blue. And so we've gone through and most of the changes are fairly minor in scope and context. There's, if you start beginning in 4.05, the code of ethics includes our newest version of the code of ethics. 4.06, the conflict of interest is consistent with the code of ethics that the Board of County Commissioners has approved. And then 4.06.02 includes the county's Board of Commission application, which is attached to this document. And that was discussed in quite a bit of detail at our previous meeting. And I'm moving along at 4.0903. There's just minor changes to that and to that wording. Then we get into Article 5, which is the officers and staff. Very few changes on that. Matter of fact, no changes on that one. Then we get into Article 6 on the meetings. And you'll notice that the blue, we made a slight adjustment on the schedule so that as the Board of County Commissioners calendar is changed throughout the year, this meeting date for this body may also change as well. This zoning board, because it's meets on a Monday evening, sometimes if that may interfere with a holiday or two. So we want to make sure it's very important for this zoning board to have that. The item in yellow that's highlighted has been struck out. And then if you look at the next change under 6.07, the order of business was revised after the discussion that we had at our previous meeting, where we have the agenda, which, and then the old business, and then the new business and adjournment. There's language as I'm moving along. The next change would be in 6.10 under public comments and participation. There was some language that was struck out consistent with some other revisions that in another area of the bylaws that is addressed. So it kind of removes that redundancy. What I wanted to note too on the middle of the page, where it says all speakers shall identify themselves for the record by providing the following: the name, city, and state where they reside. So in other words, the address is not required. That was a concern of some zoning members as well, even though they're going to be probably directly impacted or obviously concerned with the project that's near them. 6.13 is just a small grammatical error on members. And then also 6.13.04, another reference to the new code of ethics that the county commission has passed. So that's a very high level overview. Sean, am I missing anything? Anything you want to point out as well on that document?
No, I think you covered it well, Jay. I just noted there would be on that last section that you referred to under 6.10 for public comments. There was one, I think maybe a typo or maybe it's a wording issue. We could, on the part where you mentioned about name and address, that's true. We strike out address. That's true. But under city and state where reside, I think we'd say there where they reside or.
Oh, okay.
something to
Yes,
that
thank
effect.
you.
That's one minor grammatical thing, but otherwise for content and the issues, I believe you are correct. That covers everything that was discussed at the meeting last month. And this includes all the information that is consistent with the other boards as well. Thanks.
So that we will stand for any questions that the board members might have.
Thank you, Jay. Are there any questions or comments of board members?
Madam Chairman, I move that we adopt the bylaws as presented with changes outlined for us this evening.
All right, we have a motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
Second.
And is there any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll have a vote on recommending approval of the bylaws as revised this evening. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? And this recommendation will go to the Board of County Commissioners. Sean, can you tell us when that will be?
Sean Penley, planning staff. We do not have a date set yet for when this will be presented to the Board of County Commissioners. We are waiting to conclude the presentations and the revisions with the other with the other boards. I would imagine this would probably be sometime in April or May, unless Jay, if you have an update, I don't know if we have.
Thank you, Sean. Madam Chair, members of the board, just to reiterate what Sean just said, we're coordinating this with the other zoning boards as well. So I assume it could be probably the end of April or the second half of April when this is brought before the Board of County Commissioners.
All right, thank you. The other item before the board this evening is election of officers. And we were hoping to have all of our board members present for that. Sean, where mine is just one member, would you still like to wait? If we are to be electing new officers every June, it makes sense to hold off and have our election in June. It will be the third Monday in June, and I know that there are folks that do take summer vacations. So I don't know if we would be able to get all 7 of our members here for that meeting in June. But it sounds like that's when the elections need to occur. Is that correct?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Sean Penley, that is correct. The bylaws that we're presenting to all of the zoning boards, we will be planning to have elections in June or soon thereafter for all of the zoning boards. We would anticipate that would be the best time to do a standard time for all the zoning boards. We would recommend, probably makes the most sense, like, as you mentioned, if we don't have a full board this evening, for this evening's meeting, it may make sense to hold off on that and wait until June. We would probably want to check with all of the board members in advance to make sure that they were available for that regularly scheduled meeting date. If not, what we could do is either have a special meeting date for just the elections or just look at the next soonest date thereafter. I will also note too, just if anyone's interested, there are no applications scheduled for the meeting next month. So we do not have plans for a meeting in April. So the next soonest meeting would be May. But I think that's correct. It probably makes the most sense to wait until June when we're having regularly scheduled elections for all the boards.
Jim Neese, Madam Chairman, I've got a question. Sean, what's the rationale of us not being able to do it tonight? Because in May and June, into school and stuff, we may not get a quorum. And I don't know that I've ever been on a board that everybody had to be there. If you have a quorum, there's no reason for somebody for this, go ahead and doing it tonight. I mean, can you tell me, your thoughts, why you feel like everybody's got to be here? Because probably everybody's not going to be here.
Sure. Yeah,
Mr.
Sean Penley, and
Neese.
I'll see if, I think Jay had a comment. I would certainly, the board could do that. Absolutely. They could vote on it. To be honest, what we were considering initially was that there was only going to be 4 members. Now we know there are 6, including Zoom. So I'll see if Jay has any thoughts on this too. We had this discussion earlier.
Okay.
Yeah, I know Jay wanted to discuss this too, since we were going to be having a June election.
Thank you, Sean.
Yeah.
Yeah, hey, I appreciate that. Commissioner Neese, just to respond to your question. Yeah, as Sean was saying, we thought we'd only have 4. However, we do have 5. We could certainly have the election. I wouldn't have any issues with doing that. If you all are comfortable with that and proceeding and moving forward with the election, that would be fine. That doesn't cause any concern for me either. If you would like to do that, that's certainly up to your discretion.
No, I don't have. No.
Okay, hearing that, we've got 2 people that are on the line here. I would make a motion that present chair continue to serve as the chairperson, chair lady, for the next term. And I nominate her for that and I don't know that, is that a motion? Nominations, motions?
I think it would be a motion, and then we would want to have Kathleen respond to that. Yes.
I'll second that.
That would be fine. I will let you know that I won't be chairing again for the next year due to personal reasons
Coming year.
this coming year.
In that case, I withdraw my motion.
So I apologize for that. I would like to, but there's some circumstances that don't allow me to do that. So is there a second nomination for chair? Is there someone that would like to volunteer to be chair for the next year?
No.
I'd like to, Madam Chairman, I'd like to have a little discussion here. Brian, would you be amiable to do this? Not really. Mark,
Nope.
you're,
I'm gonna be traveling a lot and I've
And,
done this in the past.
Mike? Are you-
Hello,
Oh, Mike, are you alive down there? Are you in Florida?
I am.
And let's see who else we got here. Well, in that case, and I think we ought to maybe wait till we have a discussion. Seeing how Kathleen, I wouldn't have done that if I didn't know you were not going to be doing it. So I withdraw my nomination and defer to the chair to extend. Maybe we need to poll the people that would be willing to.
Yeah, I agree with that. Unless Melissa wants to step forward and chair. I will say that the position will be renewed yearly. The bylaws do state that this should be done once a year instead of us being chair indefinitely. So I don't know if that makes a difference to someone that would be willing to step forward and do it for the next year.
Never done that.
Madam Chair,
Madam-
this is Jay Leipzig. I just wanted to note that Melissa Morris did respond in the chat that she wouldn't be comfortable as the chair of the Northwest Zoning Board.
What do you say?
Would not. Is that would not, Jay? She would not.
Yeah,
be-
she would not.
This Jim Neese, I would do it if nobody else wants to do it. I've done it before. I'll be here. So if, I always think it's important that other people serve in this position. But if nobody, if it comes down that, I know Mike's out of town a lot. I'm in town most of the time, so if one of the other members that are not here are not interested in doing it, I'd be more than happy to do it.
Great.
Well, if that's the case, do we have someone that would be willing to be the nominee for vice chair? If Jim Neese is willing to be the nominee for the chair position, and if he's giving consent for that, then we can close the nominations down for the chair position. Do we have someone that would like to be the vice chair?
Kathleen, my folks, I would consider being a vice chair.
Thank you, Mike. I appreciate that you would nominate yourself for the position of vice chair.
We're all good.
We appreciate that. So at this point, Jim Neese has been nominated for the position of chair. And Mike Folks has nominated himself for position of vice chair. So at this point, are there any further nominations? Hearing none. If there are any discussions, then we could vote on Jim Neese's chair first, I believe. So can I have a motion for Jim Neese to be chair?
Brian Lewinberg, Mark Crumbaker, I second that.
All right, and any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed? The motion carries, that passes. And now for Mike Fox as nominating for vice chair. Do I have a motion for him?
Mark Crumbaker, I second.
Thank you. And is there any discussion? Hearing none, then we will vote for Mike Fox as vice chair. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? That motion carries as well. That passes. So thank you for doing that this evening. We appreciate it. And then at this point, Jim, the new chair, may take over the meeting. I don't think there's any other business. If you would like for me to close the evening out, I'd be happy to do
Please.
that.
By the way, let me take this time to thank you for the last 3 or 4 years. I mean, you've been a astute chairman. And I think the community, especially out in our neck of the woods, could be very proud of you. And hopefully you're going to be able to stay on the board.
Thank you. And I am going to stay
That's
on
good.
the,
Thank you.
we'll be on.
I'll say that for everybody here. So
Yeah.
Thank you.
if I can so.
Hey, Madam Chair, this is Jay. I was gonna
Yes, Jay.
also reiterate what Commissioner Neese just said. As a staff person, it's been great to work with you as a chairman. And I appreciate the new leadership coming in as well. This has always been a great zoning board to work with. And so I just appreciate all of your time to do this and your leadership the past few years. You've been a great chairperson. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. The compliments are always appreciated. Is there any other business to come before the board this evening?
Madam Chair, Sean. Penn,
yes,
Vice
Sean.
Staff. I would reiterate what Mr. Leipzig said as well. We really do appreciate your service as our chair for this Northwest Consolidated Zoning Board. You've been great. We've appreciated all your service. The other thing, and we'll look forward to Mr. Neese as well. We appreciate his wonderful experience. He's had a number of years of experience. And we
Yes.
appreciate having that experience on the board. The last thing I'll mention, as I noted, there was originally one application scheduled for the next meeting, which was going to be held, I believe, on April 21st. However, that application was withdrawn, so we do not have any applications in the meeting next month. So next month, we won't have a meeting for the new chair. We'll wait to see if we have the next one in May. So that was the last thing I noted.
So
What is the date in May? What's it? Look,
In May.
What is it?
Is it the 16th, maybe?
This Northwest Consolidated Zoning Board meeting in May is May 15th.
15th?
Yeah, that's right around graduation time, probably, I'm sure, in that area. But yeah, May 15th is the scheduled date. Of course, we don't know yet if we have any applications for that meeting, so we'll find out in the next 2 weeks. Thank you.
Thank you, Sean. This is Kathleen Wilnower again. I would accept a motion for adjournment.
Second, Mark Crumbaker, I second.
Thank you, Mark. All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed? We are adjourned.
Nobody.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good evening.